in the lineup. He had a good performance on Kalista yesterday, for sure. Should be more of a safe player, especially in the late game. So we have to see now if ROCCAT can keep up the play they showed yesterday.
And of course, it was a first pick Kalista for ROCCAT, who were also on the blue side.
And they can do it again.
Against the Copenhagen Wolves. We'll see if they get the option. So Morgana, Shen, Ryze taken off the table. Jace, Fizz, one more ban for UOL to prioritize.
I think Jace has been banned every single game against Nukeduck ever since the changes to him. We just saw what Fibrin can do on Jace. Now here for Unicorns of Love, they had to make a decision. Do we ban one of the tier 1 junglers and trade that for the Kalista first pick? In this case, they banned their way, so Sivir is open for ROCCAT. And it's a little bit of a no-brainer, honestly. Normally, for the teams, when Kalista is banned away, and you can still get either Rek'Sai or Gragas, then it's fine. So now Rek'Sai is going to go over to Jankos if he wants it. Unicorn's saying, you know what, we know you're going to take Sivir. We get the Alistar at least. So they're both trying to trade some power picks to each other. I still think getting the Sivir has a lot higher value than getting the Alistar, because there's still fantastic supports left in the pool where Sivir and Kalista kind of stand out as the 2 AD carries.
So for ROCCAT, they've got one of those 2 standout AD carries. Yesterday they ran Ekko in the top lane with Steve, when it was coupled with the Gragas from Jankos, and they got him ahead. And he stayed ahead. Steve had one of his best performances all split long.
And it's
interestingly,
open, yeah.
The Varus, again, twice. Yesterday, Nukeduck was landing those piercing arrows one after the other, and it felt like ROCCAT were in control of their team composition.
We're just seeing how strong poke is from the mid lane, from Jace, from Varus here, from Nukeduck. It's somewhat the same. I mean, you almost built the same as well. You wanted more mana, you want cooldown reduction, you want armor penetration, and then you have this fantastic mid-game spike where you do so much damage from your piercing arrows. So it's going to be the same kind of play here from Nukeduck, and by taking away Sivir, you add in another mobility, or you add in some mobility for the Varus in case he wants to disengage. Ekko as well is one of these champions where it's super difficult for you to run at him, because you always got to be afraid of where his shadow is. Also the fact he has so many slows built in, he can kite pretty effectively, and then if you overextend, he just jumps back into you, and like he pops a target in the back if it is Steve playing it in the top end. Rek'Sai is still open for Jankos if he wants that one.
Well, Deficio, Unicorns of Love went with a 2 carry composition yesterday. Syndra mid and Jinx AD carry. They were relying on keeping Vardags up and alive against the Giants. And unfortunately, it was PowerOfEvil that got caught out several times against Giants and was unable to do that. They're doing the same again. There's a lot of damage and mobility from ROCCAT already.
ROCCAT can go Janna though, and that's gonna very, very heavily disengage against what Unicorns has put together here. Bard could even work for Vander, even though he had a poor performance on it in the last week. I really like the Janna to lock it in though, because it's full focus on kite back and poke from Nukeduck. And Unicorns of Love, with their build together here, is going to rely a lot on either having a flash ready for like the body slam flash or the flash engage from a Maokai, or of course Righteous Glory, but that's where Janna can really disengage the whole thing. And that should buy enough time to ROCCAT then to pop that Sivir ulti and kite back. And then, as we just mentioned before, Unicorns have to be concerned about the fact that this Ekko is going to be with the team as well. And you cannot overextend, because then suddenly your backline is going to drop. Vardags himself, if Vizicsacsi, if Hylissang is playing aggressive, trying to dive in on the back line, Vardags is left on his own in the back. Not going to be Poppy. Maokai is here for the top lane.
We did see a brief hover on the Cogmore, so maybe a poke into poke if Unicorns want to run that. PowerOfEvil and Unicorns, honestly, I kind of feel like they're stagnating a little bit. We're seeing adaptations from teams all across in terms of picks and bans and playstyle. Unicorns, however, are going to get another mid to late game mage in the middle, and it's Cassio.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I like the pick itself. The problem is, she's a mage that relies on the fact that she can always get to a target and sit there and then spam her abilities fairly low range. But that's going to be a problem against a comp with a Varus, because it's very long range focused. Our Varus has to slow as well to stop her moving around. The laning phase as well is very much a skill matchup where if you get to land your abilities on the Cassiopeia, like if you get a one-on-one trade, it's in favor of you. But Varus can always sit really far back, and Poke can always just try and clear the waves and then try and avoid fighting you. And once you hit level 6, he has quite a lot of damage. If you start landing some of those arrows here, suddenly you might get an all-in potential, an all-in situation. The problem for me is just Unicorns of Love is so reliant on the fact they get a proper engage, and then you get Vardags and PowerOfEvil in a position to sit there and have enough time to deal the damage. Because it's not quick burst. No, it's, you know, over time, 5-6 seconds, and then you will melt targets, for sure. But that requires ROCCAT then to fall behind and like get it open to flanks, or Vander to misplay on this Janna here and not disengage the fight at first. Remember the ulti from Nukeduck. If you're grouped up moving in towards him, multiple guys are going to be stunned, and then Ekko jumps into you.
So we'll see if Steve can find his opportunities and whether or not PowerOfEvil and Vardags can stick to ROCCAT for long enough. We heard a very heartbreaking story from Jankos as he was talking about ROCCAT's struggles and troubles all year long. A confident win yesterday may be what ROCCAT need to give themselves their first 2-0 week in summer.
And I really like the fact as well that Steve has picked up some new champions. He played Maokai in the start. He was like, yeah, you know, just get on that tank. You can die a few times. You can still be useful. Now, more confidence from him. We see Jankos gank the top lane quite often, you know, play around Steve on this Ekko, and it opens up for these double AD carry compositions because you have that AP damage from the top lane. Mr. Kikis himself on the Gragas, 100% win rate, that's great.
3 games played, 3 victories, and Jankos had the Gragas yesterday, so Kikis has also denied that from his opponent. Vander gonna get pulverized up. PowerOfEvil is gonna put down that poison and keep popping it out, and Noxian Blast rather. And Vander's going to be able to escape. Nothing really gained or lost here from either team.
And let's look a little bit more at Unicorns of Love and the comp here. It's not as bad as I made it sound in Champ Select. It's by no means bad in that sense. I mean, they have fantastic damage output from the 2 carries, PowerOfEvil and Vardags. Double tank setup. It's a little bit what we saw a lot of in Spring Split. Even the Alistar providing a massive front line here. It just becomes so much harder to play with all this poke coming into play. With the likes of Ekko, who can dive that backline very effectively and still jump back to his own ulti. So even if you do focus him down, you need to like stun lock him and kill him in run rotation. Unicorns, though, if they do get a strong laning phase, which you can do with the likes of Cassiopeia in the mid lane, that's what you can use to snowball. Because what we have seen from them is if PowerOfEvil is winning that mid lane, Kikis suddenly plays very aggressive. He finds the enemy jungler. He looks for the one-on-one, the 2v2 fights, where he knows PowerOfEvil can back him up. And that's a big advantage for Unicorns of Love in the early game. But it requires them to use it. And if Nukeduck just gets a farm lane for himself, that's going to neutralize. And then you wait for the mid game if you're ROCCAT instead.
Well, for both Nukeduck and PowerOfEvil, it's going to be seeing who can handle their lanes, who can get ahead, because both mid laners have struggled a little this summer. Nukeduck found a fantastic Varus game yesterday, and taking a look at PowerOfEvil, already 35 stacks on that Cassiopeia passive. The observers buzzed me and said all the damage onto Vander earlier, got 23 stacks.
What a beast, man.
What a game changer. Closer to max. So we do take a look at the sort of farm lane. If PowerOfEvil can get close to Nukeduck with Twin Fang, as has been ranked up, will put a lot of hurt on. And for Steve up top, into Chachi's Maokai, there's a lot of aggressive trading in favor of Steve, and we'll see whether or not Chachi can sustain through that passive.
Chachi can definitely set up ganks very effectively on this Ekko here, but just to talk a bit more about the mid lane matchup. I mentioned before here how Cassiopeia should have the pressure at least in the lane when it comes to early trading. If you do manage to connect the poison and you get that one-on-one fight, it is in favor of PowerOfEvil. But the long range here for Nukeduck and the fact he can use his E, the slow, to stop it from going aggressive. Let's see Kikis. He's going to find Jankos here.
Oh, Kikis is going to be in so much trouble. Down to 200 hit points. Jankos, he's going to go over with the Tunnel Prey Seeker, not even needed. First blood from the man with the feels video, and that's going to be a great start.
And Jankos simply skipping his own blue buff. Then he invades in and he finds Kikis on the second buff. Nukeduck had done a very good job at pushing his own lane here in the mid lane. So if PowerOfEvil left the lane to go help Kikis, he would have lost a lot of farm in case Nukeduck got to push it back into the tower and even move with him over there. So nice early start from ROCCAT, very clearly planned, with the fact that Nukeduck is pushing his lane and Jankos skipping his own blue buff to then get faster into that red buff and finding Kikis. So great start here from ROCCAT.
Definitely is. ROCCAT in their standard lanes, as well as Unicorns of Love, tend to go even at 10 minutes. That's in terms of gold value. However, ROCCAT tend to fall behind as they get closer to 20 minutes. We'll see whether or not Jankos' early first blood will be able to help out, and that's an early blue buff onto Nukeduck.
It's gonna help
him out.
Yeah, it's gonna help Nukeduck a lot keep the distance here to PowerOfEvil and just keep clearing the waves. And as I said before, the hail of arrows here to stop PowerOfEvil from going aggressive. Just slow him down. He won't get in range then, and you can just keep the lane fairly safe then for Nukeduck. Obviously wants to get towards the tier as early as possible, potentially even upgrading it straight away, but it requires quite a lot of gold on your first back.
30 CS at the moment. We did see the back from PowerOfEvil. He's already got that tier. Luckily for ROCCAT, both mid laners are tier focused, so need some time to scale. And we see Nukeduck backing away as he shoved that lane in. So he's got the blue buff to tick away. We also see he's opted for flash heal.
You can just go tier double longsword and then you go brutalizer early with the tier before you upgrade it. Perfectly fine. That is the normal route because you don't tend to have enough gold to straight away upgrade your tier in the first back unless you've been farming for a long time. This will give him a little bit more lane pressure as well. Tier very important for both of them, obviously, as you just highlighted yourself, Trevor, before. But important with that good start for Jankos. It means suddenly he can play a little bit more aggressive in terms of his warding. And you can see how ROCCAT has already taken over the river on the bot lane side. So 4 members on the bottom side. And now they have quite a lot of security. As you mentioned, sorry.
No, I was just saying, that security actually adds to anything. Because for ROCCAT at least, they got the early advantage. They seem to be doing well. Every time we look at the minimap, you can see Steve sort of trading with Chachi. Neither of those top laners have backed yet. Chachi's going to be the first one to get to 6, so slow and steady laning phase as far as the lanes are concerned. It's only the jungle with the action.
Look at the setup of the lane though here. The waves are pushing down towards Vizicsacsi, so Steve is now in this very annoying situation where you have to overextend to play it out, and that's why Unicorns can gank him.
So Kikis is coming in, but Steve is going to chrono break the body slam. And the crowd definitely in support. Cannon minion, I think, was secured there by Steve, as Jankos is now coming for a reply gank. Steve, no ulti, and Kikis is 1.5 miles away. I don't know if anything's going to come of this one. Flash is still up for Chachi if it's needed.
Yeah, might just try and burn the flash away from Chachi and nothing else. So little mana on Steve. But if Chachi goes aggressive here, it can go very wrong for him.
Tension is palpable.
I think the lane's going to push down. They're going in now.
Wow, there's the chilling smite. Insta-flash from Vizicsacsi. Successful gank from Jankos. So first blood secured and a flash. And all Steve needed to do to keep alive was use his ultimate.
Really like the start for Jankos. First invade in, timed it well with Nukeduck. He knows his bottom lane is going to win on his own and keep pushing into the tower. Or at least have the pressure in the lane with the Sivir Janna. So he doesn't have to gank for them. Not a whole lot of value in ganking for that Janna lane anyway. Very utility focused. So instead, early vision, find the enemy jungle, and then try and get this Ekko ahead. It's very good start from Jankos in the lanes he's deciding to go to. Force that flash, let's see if they can use it. This one is good for Unicorns though. Clear out these pink wards.
So fairly early taken out, to be honest. Hylissang grabbed those Moby boots. We see Vardags finally backing after he's pushed the wave out. BF sword for RALZ. Should be BF sword for Vardags and some pots. Unless he wants to grab a ward or a long sword. First few items starting to trickle in. ROCCAT are approaching 10 minutes on the clock with a very small advantage. And Hylissang, he's spending a lot of time in this bush. I mean, there's no Vardags to defend in the bottom lane. There's no reason to be any RALZ.
Right. We have seen Kikis and Hylissang roam together quite a lot in the last few weeks. Great synergy in that sense. Very good at setting up ganks. Chachi's going to find Jankos, but for now he's alone.
Yeah, PowerOfEvil was the first to roam. I think he's come up through the jungle. And Nukeduck was able to walk up through the river, so slightly quicker pathing and nothing gained.
Problem is for Hylissang here. If he roams in this game, the Sivir Janna is going to push into tower over and over and over and take it down a lot faster than if he was there to try and at least help Vardags get some CS. So if the roam doesn't pay off for Hylissang, like in this case here where he was spotted all the way and he wasn't paired up with his jungler or anything, it just ends up being fairly wasted and gives a lot of time for MrRallez and Vander then to get pressure because they want to take down this bot lane tower. Then what you can do is you can swap the top lane where there sits a Maokai who doesn't have the proper wave clear to stop the Sivir from taking that tower. Then you rotate to mid lane with Cassiopeia where it's the same deal. There's no like instant wave clear from Unicorns of Love. So by having poke from Nukeduck, he's fantastic wave clear itself. Same goes for Ekko, same goes for Sivir. ROCCAT can really control the lanes very, very effectively. And Unicorn's only way to respond is by fighting. Because they can't sit there and try and like poke them out or clear the waves in time. Because then ROCCAT will always get damage on the towers and always land poke from Nukeduck. So Unicorns have to be able to fight to win this game.
Well, PowerOfEvil wants to keep himself healthy enough to fight. Picked up that Hextech Revolver as well as the Tier. Now Steve does have Flash and Chrono Break. He's going to phase dive out, jump back in. Here comes the Parallel Convergence. Going to get the stun and a shield. Kikis is going to knock Steve away. Steve's holding on to that Flash, knows he's going to get taken out. Relatively easy gank. That was the easy gank setup you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's what you can do with this Maokai so effectively against melee champions. If they just move close, obviously you just snare them. Jankos has to make a play on the opposite side of the map, especially because Steve bought so much time by like dancing around, and also Unicorn's going for that blue buff. We need to see either the Dragon being taken by Jankos, or you just go straight down to this bottom lane and pressure that tower with the rest of the team. Going for the Dragon.
Sorry, Dragon instead. Jankos got first blood. Jankos gets first Dragon. And we are now 11 minutes into the game. And this thing actually starts this trade out. We see a two-man knockup from the Howling Gale. So that was Dragon secured as we blink back bottom. Vardags and Hylissang did get away. I don't know if those Flame Chompers connected. I expect a problem.
ROCCAT doing a very good job forcing Hylissang to stay in this bottom lane. Don't allow him to roam anywhere. You mentioned how PowerOfEvil wants to keep himself healthy. Got that early sustain. It's going to delay his core build quite a lot. And it's once again relying on him being able to get off these twin fangs here, to keep landing his spells to get enough healing from it. He's obviously doing it because he's against the poke. But it's about if ROCCAT can keep the distance, then PowerOfEvil will never really get to do a whole lot. If Unicorns get the chance though, to start the fight, TP in from the Maokai, Alistar flank potentially, flash in, get the talisman as we see from Hylissang. That's where we might see PowerOfEvil do a lot of damage, and that's how Unicorns can still win the fight, of course.
Yeah, and talking about Unicorns, you know, this team composition, it sort of harkens back to the spring split, where it's an older style of team comp. Yesterday, that Syndra mid with Jinx. Again, sort of an old school style of team comp with only 2 damage threats. We'll see whether or not it can work out today. It didn't yesterday. That vintage team composition, not really executed well enough. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like it's not a good sign, because you feel like every other team's growing, right? You feel like Fnatic are playing different styles. ROCCAT completely adjusted their picks and bans. Gambit as well, you know, mixing things up. It kind of feels like the experimental teams that are broadening their playstyle in champion pools are more successful in summer.
Yeah, I agree on that 100%. It's really about the fact that can you keep adapting to all these changes here. Small buffs comes left and right. Jay's got a massive buff, and then so you have to adapt to that one. Jankos is in the top lane. There's a new flash though for Chachi.
Chachi's gonna get knocked up. Can he get away? Vengeful Maelstrom is preventing a lot of that damage. Chrono Break gets close. We're not close enough to get the damage down, and Hylissang, his football boots, is gonna make his way all the way up top, and no kill yet.
I don't really understand that gank too much from Jankos. Chachi had the flash ready. He was in a fairly safe position as well. Instead, if you are Jankos now, I mean, put your focus around this mid lane instead, where Nukeduck is a bit in trouble. You can go in and gank Hylissang, or PowerOfEvil not gank Hylissang. He's ganking Nukeduck instead. So
Nukeduck out of mana on level 10. That's an exhaust onto PowerOfEvil. Nukeduck already flashed away. Teleports come out from Steve, but he's on low hit points. Timewinder's not going to connect, and that may be a small misuse of resources.
Yeah, a few misplays from ROCCAT here. The last minute, TP used from Steve, obviously to try and make Unicorns back away, but Vander was already there, and he might die now.
Well, Hylissang's looking to score. He has caught Vander out. Vander with a quick channel and cancel on Monsoon. Flashes away from the belly, and he's going to stay alive. The Mega Death Rocket is not a Death Rocket at all. And the knockup from Jankos saves Vander a second time.
Look at the mid lane.
Don't get that many chances. So, ROCCAT got a tower down bottom. They use teleport middle, and PowerOfEvil will even the tower in middle.
And this is the thing, the only lane that was directly losing for ROCCAT was that mid lane. Wasn't in terms of farm, but more the fact that PowerOfEvil could keep pushing it down, and then we saw Kikis come in there. We saw Hylissang try and roam into that mid lane as well. Jankos wasn't there to help. Vander tried, but it wasn't enough. Steve even teleported in. A bit misused, honestly, for him. But they got the bot lane tower. Push out this wave now with MrRallez, then swap him over to the top side or the mid. and either group up with Nukeduck for that mid tower or just push in the top lane with your Janna Sivir. And try and snowball the game a little bit. You don't want this Cassiopeia to sit and scale. You don't want the Jinx to scale up. You want to punish Unicorns of Love for having no instant hard wave clear and put them in a situation where if they don't engage onto you, they will lose the tower. They will be forced back in base. And they might have to take some fights they didn't want to in the first place. And you can then control the pace. You have the wards on the flanks.
Yeah, and there's two things to talk about those flanks and the lack of wave clear. When ROCCAT played Ekko yesterday, Steve was split pushing. And we'll get to that in a second. He's gone in. We do see MrRallez is caught out. Those chompers are now down. Spell shield's up, and Rallez is going to flash away from the zap. Mega Death Rocket is available, but on the hunt, and flash is going to be used. Now Chachi points, he clicks. Vander's got caught out, and we see the slow onto MrRallez. They're going for the dive. The Death Rocket gets knocked away, but Vardags still secures the kill. Kikis was helping. It almost didn't work out. Kill number 2 to UOL.
That's a very nice start though from Hylissang and the bot lane here for Unicorns. RALLEZ just wanted to push up this wave here and then probably leave it. Unicorns got the fight. They will lose the top tower for it. If ROCCAT can defend the bot lane, it's okay. And they got 2 towers down now. We can start seeing the grouping happening. Cooldown reduction coming for Nukeduck. Unicorns are love though. Can they get the fight? No TP for Vizicsacsi. That's going to be huge. No talisman yet for Hylissang either.
So yesterday, the Unicorns could not get the fights. Krug secured for Steve. And Giant's AP Cogmore was given time to scale.
Right.
Nukeduck's AD Varus is 16 minutes in. He's even on farm despite being down a tower. And he's in a pretty good position. So Nukeduck is going to connect to the chains of corruption. Piercing arrow comes out. Here comes Jankos. They decide to back away. And that may allow some damage onto the mid tower from UOL.
Yeah, and that's the poke that's going to happen all game long here. He doesn't even have the last whisper yet. And once you get more cooldown reduction, it's going to be even more annoying for PowerOfEvil to deal with when he wants to sit there and try and sustain back on these minions or clear the waves. Another problem for Unicorns yesterday was the fact they couldn't split push. He had a Shen. Let's see what happens to Nukeduck.
Nukeduck's being caught out, and Jankos is knocked up as well. Nukeduck is nuked by the Unicorns of Love. Kikis with a great engage. Vander trying to save lives with that Monsoon, and you can see MrRallez. He's split up, trying to get Kikis and Hylissang. We do see no flash available, and he's going to get chunked down. Unicorns grab 2 kills and a great engage from Kikis.
Yeah, the fact that Unicorns can keep getting the fights here are so important for them to get the kills. ROCCAT, they walked down the river. They thought they were safe because PowerOfEvil was back in base. I mean, there's no way Unicorns are going to jump us. So Nukeduck gets caught out. Pokecomp never gets to sit there and deal any damage. And Unicorns, once again, they get a good fight. The kills are going to be so important. Because if they get to the point where they can't engage properly or where they can't win the fight, well, then there's nothing you can do. But if you are against a poke composition that falls behind, then suddenly the Varus is not going to do anything if Maokai just sits on him every single fight.
0-0-4 for Vizicsacsi's Maokai. Yesterday his Shen was bullied around.
Yeah, and that was one of the problems.
Shyvana really hard.
That was such a big problem for Unicorns in terms of how to close the game, because they could never rely on the side lanes with the fact that Shyvana was destroying Chachi on the Shen here. That was banned away in this game, the Shen itself. But we still have the same situation where Chachi's on a big tank who can't deal with the Ekko in the late game in the split push. So that is in favor of ROCCAT. But what has worked so far for Unicorns is they've got chances to teleport in. They've had good vision control. Look at the wards on the minimap here around the dragon. And they've been using them to catch out ROCCAT and not allow them to group.
ROCCAT, on the other hand, though, they have been pushing towers. So despite giving up kills, they've got a lot of damage on multiple objectives. I mean, Steve has just been left uncontested. PowerOfEvil's going to get zoned away. That tower's going to drop, I feel. It will. Steve with a very good play. Unicorns, can they reply down bottom? It looks like they can. And they do within a few seconds. So inner turret for outer turret. And top half of the map is becoming more exposed for the Unicorns of Love.
And also the fact now that ROCCAT can decide to group. We always see them try and push out these side lanes and they're like, okay, now we start grouping. But then someone overextends and Unicorns get the engage. Kills them, and then everything resets for ROCCAT and it delays it just a little bit. But the fact that Steve got 2 towers top is great for them. Nukeduck ramping up as well. Want to see ROCCAT now start grouping together. Mid lane is gonna be the next objective for them. Just have, obviously, Steve in the side lane, so it's like the 1-4 setup. You can even put Jankos in the other one if you want, just to have a bit more global pressure, but you can also just slow push that lane, which I prefer normally.
Well, teleport advantage is about to run out. Chachi's going to have his cooldown available in a minute or two. And with the amount of pressure on the side lanes, we've seen teams like Fnatic go for cheeky Barons. With the Cassiopeia Jinx, Unicorns could set that one up. Let's see how they put pressure on this top tower though. ROCCAT a little late to defend.
Yeah, we can really see how much time this is buying Unicorns a lot. The fact they got these picks here on ROCCAT, the ROCCAT misplayed that mid game, has given Unicorns a lot so much time to push in towers themselves and even it out. Chachi just needs to stand and play very defensive down this bottom lane here. Don't try and go for any trades with the Ekko. And instead, Vardags has been able to move around the map, get towers. Kikis though, he might be caught out.
So Nukeduck's going to fire that piercing arrow. Chain of Corruption should interrupt that body slam. And Kikis fail flashes! He finds the wall! Teleport's coming out from Steve. Steve wants to find PowerOfEvil, and he does!
Oh, wow.
Phase Time and Time Winder, and there's 2 kills on the board. ROCCAT, how ballsy are you? Baron is available. It spawned 30 seconds ago. Steve is about to find Vardags. He gets knocked up by the Howling Gale as Hylissang is dropped on the back line. We looked at the Baron stats. ROCCAT find 4 kills. Chachi's alone in the bottom lane, and ROCCAT say, yes, please. We'll take a faster Baron than Fnatic.
And a very, very strange call for Unicorns. Didn't seem to be on the same page. Half the members were about to back away after they got that tower. Kikis then stayed in near the blue buff. Great play from ROCCAT to catch him out. TP in from Steve instantly. Almost one-shots PowerOfEvil. Mid tower goes down. What a great play from ROCCAT here. Completely punishing Unicorns a lot for being out of position.
And it's so funny because a few seconds ago you were just saying how ROCCAT were punished for being out of position.
But look at this here. Kikis is staying in here on his own. Vardags had already backed away from his tower. PowerOfEvil was about to move away himself. And then suddenly, Kikis caught behind. He tried to flash behind Jankos, then body slam over. But Jankos just stayed so close to the wall. Passive from Steve destroys PowerOfEvil here. Fight gets cleaned up. 4 guys dies. Baron goes over to ROCCAT. You have a siege comp with the Baron at 21 minutes. That might just be it. If ROCCAT can use that to snowball into a few more towers, they're going to get such a massive goal lead that Unicorns might never find a chance to then engage and win a fight.
Now that is the key. If ROCCAT can use Baron. Fnatic got an early Baron in the previous match, and they got initiated on and lost all of that pushing power. I don't quite see the same happening again. That AoE Tibbers isn't there. However, Hylissang does have Flash, does have Pulverize. So let's see, ROCCAT, 4,000 gold, roughly ahead. And they've got all that wave clear. There you go. Earliest Baron in summer.
Had the one before.
The record is just broken. Today is a record-breaking day, Deficio. Longest win streak, earliest Baron.
Prettiest casters. I mean, there's so many good records.
I know, it's so good to have Stress and Crepa sitting on the analyst desk. So back into this game, though. Nukeduck with that BF sword, Last Whisper, man immune, he's already poking a lot. MrRallez knows he doesn't have to build wave clear, so going for the maximum damage output. And there's that side lane pressure you were talking about. Jankos down bottom, Steve up top, and plenty of Baron minions to play with.
And now when you have that Baron, of course you put Jankos down in the side lane. So 3 waves being buffed up. Fantastic poke in the mid lane. Let's see if Unicorns have any chance of starting a fight. We need to get home guards on Vizicsacsi very, very fast. So have another wave for Unicorns starting there. Just teleporting in straight away though.
Hylissang has already thrown down Unbreakable Will. We see that Super Mega Death Rocket go wide. Another missed Chains of Corruption. No one's surprised by that. Steve is going to phase dive onto PowerOfEvil. One of the damage threats is down, and now Vardags is left without any peel or protection. Vardags gets dropped as a 3rd member of UOL drops. Chachi forced to run away with the roots between his legs, and ROCCAT now set their sights on an inhibitor. They've used Baron super effectively.
And we really just get to see how hard it is for Unicorns to take the fights here. As soon as you just fall a little bit behind, you try and engage him with teleports, maybe a guy flashing in on this Alistar here. Hylissang instantly popped his ulti, but the disengage ROCCAT can do. This time wasn't even the ulti from Vander, just flashing out, then Sivir ulti. That's enough then to disengage it first, and then Jinx and the Cassiopeia never gets in range to really deal proper damage. And ROCCAT just takes down the tanks here.
Well, maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into this, but that instant recall after the inhibitor falls, I think it shows very clear decision-making and shot calling from ROCCAT's side. Inhibitor, instant back.
It is one of the easier calls to make.
Of course. But it's something they've not done for the rest of their games. ROCCAT yesterday were decisive, and I felt like they were making clearer calls. Today, similar vein. They saw Unicorns in a poor position, and they punish it. There was little hesitation. Baron instantly, within half of Baron's cooldown, they'd already secured inhibitors. So
yeah,
I just think very, very good improvement.
The last 5 minutes have been great for ROCCAT. Steve as well, clearly getting more and more confident on stage, playing the carries. He's teleported before when he got that Baron instantly in there. Instantly just goes straight for PowerOfEvil and kills him. So great plays all around. Well, a few misplays in the mid game for ROCCAT that cost them quite a few kills, gave Unicorns of Love a chance. Not a chance, but put Unicorns of Love in the lead. But then we saw that play around the Baron itself, and that's really just snowballed ROCCAT from there. The last 5 minutes have been near perfect for them.
So ROCCAT gonna now siege down this bottom lane. Baron has worn off, but they don't need it. They have an 8,000 gold lead, and we did actually just catch a glimpse there of Nukeduck. He stole that blue buff a moment ago. All that dragon was just secured. Nukeduck, 1-1-6. So much damage to play with. And all of that advantage that Chachi had sort of built up and earned on that 0-0-4 has now been nullified.
Completely, yeah. And now he can't stand toe-to-toe with Steve anymore, so there's going to be that split pushing threat all the time. And Unicorns have to work 5 together. And then they need the correct tools. Again, the flashes are so key for them to start the fights, unless ROCCAT is mispositioning. Also that home guard, potentially from Chachi later, but there's no teleport.
Responding.
Yeah, nobody can because there's no teleport. If they move away, well, what are they going to do? Then the 4 guys down the bottom is just going to get poked out and lose the tower. So, like, right now, there's just no good play until the summoners are ready again for Unicorns. And that's where they can try and respond back. Obviously, they should have had someone up here to defend that inhibitor turret, but that's about it. They were lost this bot lane tower then as well.
2 more towers. Unicorns of Love. This is a team that, yes, they went 9-9 in the spring split, but they were a rookie team. You were expecting them to really test the limits of their play. And after placing second in the playoffs, there was a lot of expectation on UOL coming into summer. Could they grow? Could they get better? Could they prove themselves to be a more stable team? You can be the best BO5 team in the world, but if you can't make it to the BO5 stage of the tournament, you never get a chance to shine.
That's true, but we have to remember Unicorns are still in a playoff position. They have got enough wins to sit in the top 6, and that is gonna be the key thing for them. Just make top 6 for now. You have a lot of points towards Worlds because you got second place, 70 points I believe it is. You just need to secure enough to at least make the gauntlet, and that should be secured by the fact you make top 6 and get to the playoffs in the first place. So that's what they're gonna play for again. You said it yourself, they were 9-9 before. So yeah, best out of 1 has never really been the thing for Unicorns of Love.
No, definitely not. And of course, you know, talking about Worlds, three ways to qualify. Win Summer Split, have the most championship points, or win the regional qualifier. The Unicorns, they made it to finals in spring. They do have themselves a healthy amount of championship points, but they've got to contest with H2K and Origin this time around. In spring it was SK Gaming, but SK faltered towards the latter stages of the spring split.
And that's interesting how some of the teams Unicorns are fighting against now are teams who didn't get any points. Giants, 0 points. Origin just got into the LCS, 0 points. They're currently above Unicorns of Love in the standings. When it comes to championship points, they're very far behind. It gives a bit more
drama.
Drama for sure.
To the rest of the league, and we'll see who's qualifying. Vardags gets just chunked. His HP bar pierced by the arrow of Nukeduck's Varus.
So all flashes ready.
All right, let's see if it's going to help Unicorns, because they're still 10,000 gold down. They've got super minions to contest with, but I think that inhibitor will be respawning very, very soon. As we do see, Baron has been started. Teleport available for Chachi. PowerOfEvil's nowhere near, so this will be a 3v4, 4v5 at best. Teleport available for Steve as well. Baron's going down. Can it get stolen away? Flash comes in. It's secured by an auto attack from MrRallez. They're going to get a kill onto Kikis, and flashes over the wall. Steve teleported in from behind. This could be the very final fight. A flash over the chompers as Jankos is trying to chomp down Vardags. Vardags, he can't kite and fight enough because Steve's phase dive phases him out of the map. And ROCCAT get 2 kills, another Baron. They've got 2 inhibitors to take down, and only PowerOfEvil to get through between ROCCAT's first 2-0 week in summer.
Looking very, very strong this week for themselves. Jankos in that feature, talking about how they had to change the mentality, no longer think they were top 3 team, no. Rather look towards the bottom of the standings, saying we're fighting towards relegation. In this case, obviously, ROCCAT is fighting to make playoffs, and they're going in again.
Well, Chachi gets stunned by the convergence. We're not even 30 minutes onto the clock, and ROCCAT have got themselves 2 Barons, looking to secure another inhibitor, and look at that damage. I don't often use this phrase from our oceanic buddies, but that damage really is disgusting. MrRallez is going to spell shield the body slam, and we do see the petrifying gaze from Unicorns of Love, but it's their chances, I feel, are petrified. Let me take that back. They've got 2 kills onto both Nukeduck and Steve. MrRallez is still very healthy, and Jankos is tanking for days. ROCCAT overstep their bounds. Lose 3, but they've got 2 inhibitors.
But this is what we talked about. This is how Unicorns can get on to ROCCAT and then open up for PowerOfEvil and Vardags, give them the ability to deal damage. I mean, flash in from Chachi, flash in from Kikis, knock a squishy target back, and then Unicorns could win the fight. The problem is, again, they're just relying so much on these summoner spells. Used 4 of them in this one, the 4 flashes. Won the fight, can take a dragon for it as well. But this is what they wanted to do from the start. They were in a good position, honestly. They had gotten some early picks on ROCCAT, but they were mispositioning. Then we had that Baron play. Everything went wrong. Clearly, Unicorns were not on the same page. That fight was very important for them, though, and their chance in this game.
Can Unicorns defend 2 waves of super minions? ROCCAT seem to be grouping themselves towards this bottom half of the map. It is the logical objective. 2 dragons apiece. But for UOL, the furthest they've gone into ROCCAT's territory was that outer line of turrets and then the jungle. And since then, Unicorns have been way in retreat. Keep in mind, Baron is up for at least another 30 or so seconds. I think it should time before ROCCAT gets to that inhibitor turret. We'll see how effectively Unicorns can deal, because they have to defend so many super minions. Keep your eyes on that minimap every time.
So tough for them to do anything. They got home guards now for Chachi. We talked about it quite a few times. Now it's ready. There are a few wards behind ROCCAT. You might teleport to notice the one just down here, the lane near the pink ward as well. Well, could be an option for Chachi, because they might have to be in this, or Unicorns might find themselves in a situation where you just gotta go for the engage. I mean, you can't sit and defend 3 lanes.
And you just saw how effective PowerOfEvil was able to sustain off those minions. The Twin Fang Will of the Ancients is keeping him healthy. And Nukeduck's piercing arrows, relatively lengthy cooldown. So super minions on the Nexus turret. Once somebody from UOL peels back, Unicorns, they're caught out. Chain of Corruption catches onto PowerOfEvil. Now we see the parallel convergence coming down. Hylissang's unbreakable will is going to get broken. Flame Chomper splitting up ROCCAT's engage, and UOL backing away. Super minions are still bashing down that Nexus turret. Minion wave is cleared out. A lot of ultimates used. But ROCCAT come away with another objective. Those minions continue to push. Someone from UOL has to go to deal with it. Keep in mind.
They have to go in for the engage. Chachi's sitting in base. Let's see if they can do anything. He's coming in with the home guards.
There is still a petrifying gaze for PowerOfEvil, but there's no flash to combo it. Tower is being dropped now as Unicorns doing their best to survive. Here's Chachi. Vengeful Maelstrom is on. He's trying to get in. Hylissang gets both Steve and Nukeduck, but there's no follow-up. Chrono Break comes backwards for Steve as Chachi is being focused down. Look at PowerOfEvil and Vardags. They can't get any real damage down. Chachi just gets chopped down as Steve jumps in on the convergence. Super minions are battling away under the turrets. The last turret on the Nexus. ROCCAT playing this one safe. There is a Void Rush available for Jankos. He can rejoin after spending some money and healing up.
Just about staying here for ROCCAT. You still got those super minions, Unicorns. Only 4 members to defend, to just stay around, get that last tower, open up everything. ROCCAT looking strong.
Well, Unicorns of Love trying to defend the Alamo, and it's not working out this time around. Vardags is stunned, and he is taken out by ROCCAT. Steve dives onto PowerOfEvil. PowerOfEvil had his flash, but needed to run away. That petrifying gaze still not used. ROCCAT will pick up their first undefeated week in summer. see just how happy Jankos is. ROCCAT earned both of their victories this week.
100%. Great play from ROCCAT here. As soon as they get the leads, they know what to do, how to push it out. And we kept talking about, you know, in Champ Select, how it felt like the combo from Unicorns a lot. If they ever fell behind, it was so hard for them to really deal damage. How could they properly engage in against the Janna as well from ROCCAT? And we saw these last few team fights where Unicorns had flashes ready. They could go in, but whenever they were on cooldown, they were just missing so many tools to get to ROCCAT, and they played around it. But really, the key moment was just 20 minutes. After Unicorns had a fine start, created a few picks, punished ROCCAT for being out of position, it's them overextending Baron Dawn.
I'm going to step back even further, Deficio. You talked about the team compositions and how you weren't a massive fan for Cassiopeia. It was locked in as a last pick to highlight really how difficult it was for PowerOfEvil to position. He dealt less damage than Kikis' Gragas that game.
That's the thing. It's so hard on a low-range champion who needs to sit there and spam away, and you're so squishy against Chain of Corruption from a Varus. The poke he can land as well. The mobility the Sivir provides to the team. How this Ekko goes as well. You always got to look for it, man, because if you go too close, he just pops back and he one-shots you. We saw Steve time and time again jump the backline of Unicorns, and on an Ekko, once you get that Lich Bane, they die.
Talking about Steve, he's a guy that came into the LCS with a bit of expectation on playing carries. Very first game, the Smite TP Hecarim didn't work out because of a successful counterplay from his opponents. But he's looked very good on this Ekko. Jankos has ganked for him, has helped him out, and every time there was pressure in the lane, Steve was pushing a side lane.
Sure.
It felt like ROCCAT were using their team composition very effectively. Their shot calling was improved. Let's also be fair, it was against two teams who have been struggling, Copenhagen Wolves and the Unicorns of Love. But you could hear how down Jankos was in that feature about the situation. And sometimes these confidence-boosting wins in an area of the pack that is so contested, like the bottom 7 in Europe, these could be absolutely instrumental in securing a top 6.
Yeah, every single win really counts. Also, we have to remember potential tiebreakers. We are in Europe after all. We tend to have quite a lot of them. And then it's super important. You either 1-1 or 2-0 against these teams here. You cannot afford even it out, and then on the last day you realize you lost the tiebreaker, and then you drop out of top 6. But yeah, for all the teams here, outside of Origin, H2K, Fnatic, it's a fight to make top 6, and of course to avoid the relegation zone. Number 7, that's a safe spot. Other ones either auto relegation or down to play promotion tournament after the split.
So we'll see whether or not the teams can make top 6. I want to take a look at the picks and bans really once again. We've spoken, I think, at length about ROCCAT. But for me, I really do think that Unicorns are not really on the same page. These double damage threats or double carry threats not working out for them. Yesterday was Syndra and Jinx. And it's just interesting to see.
It is, and it's what we talked about, how this comp was very, very strong if you look at the spring split. But then you also have to look at the fact that Cassiopeia has been nerfed a little bit recently. Jinx has been nerfed a little bit recently. So these carries they used to play so well have been nerfed, and also the double threat compositions are not as strong in the current meta because there's so many carry top laners. It's so hard to pull it off properly. And it's just not working for them with charging on tanks all the time.
So it's definitely not. Unicorns will have to figure out what to fix if they want to make a shot at getting into the top 6. But for a closer look at ROCCAT's second win.